From the very first second, nothing about that night felt normal. The wind carried a strange kind of urgency, the kind that makes your heart beat a little faster even before you know why. I remember standing under the streetlight, drenched from the sudden rain, my breath heavy and uneven after chasing a small shadow that darted across the empty road. In that moment, I had no idea that the muddy little dog trembling in my arms would change the entire course of my life, or that finding him would pull me into a story of kindness, healing, loss, and unexpected love. I didn't know that by sunrise, my boss, the woman who intimidated half the company with her sharp focus and cold confidence, would look at me with soft, breaking eyes and say words that would shake my world. What reward do you want? A kiss, maybe? Before the story begins, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected magic life sometimes offers, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Kindness Chronicles. Your support helps stories like these reach more hearts. That night had started like any other, late hours at the company, fluorescent lights humming above my desk, and the weight of work piling over my shoulders. My boss, Ms. Alina Rahil, had left hours earlier, her usual composed stride echoing down the hallway. She wasn't just my boss, she was the kind of woman who carried stories in her eyes, stories that no one dared ask about. People feared her, admired her, envied her. I kept my distance like everyone else, but something about her always felt lonely. Like her strength was built on ruins only she knew. As I was leaving the office, my phone buzzed with a message from the staff group chat. Her dog, Milo, had gone missing. A small white Pomeranian, fragile, anxious, tied deeply to her for reasons we didn't know. Most people shrugged it off as something security would handle, but I remembered the faint softness that crossed her face the rare times she mentioned him, almost like he was her last piece of something she couldn't say aloud. Something pushed me to look for him. Maybe it was a late-night sense of duty. Maybe it was the way the rain started falling, heavy and cold, as if the world itself was worried about him. I wandered through streets, calling softly, checking every alley, every corner, every shadow. Hours passed. My clothes soaked. My legs numb. But the strange push inside me grew stronger, telling me not to stop. Then I heard it, a faint, desperate whimper from behind a rusted gate. Milo was curled under an old wooden crate, shivering uncontrollably. His fur soaked, his paws scraped, his breathing shallow. He tried backing away when I reached for him, but once I lifted him, he melted into my chest like he had given up fighting the world. The moment his little body relaxed against mine, I knew this was more than a lost dog. Something about him carried the weight of a broken home. I held him close, promising silently that I'd get him back to the one person he trusted. By the time I reached her mansion, it was almost dawn. The guards were startled, hurriedly letting me in when they saw Milo in my arms. Inside, I found her pacing the hallway with a panic that shattered every image I had of her being cold or indifferent. She looked nothing like the strict woman from the office. Her hair was messy, her eyes red, her voice shaking as she whispered, "Milo, where are you?" When she saw me, she froze. Her gaze dropped to Milo, and then to me, and something inside her broke open. She rushed forward, taking him from my arms, pressing him into her chest as tears rolled freely down her cheeks. Tears, something no one had ever seen from her. The rest of the house fell away. It was just her, Milo, and the overwhelming relief spreading across her face. When she finally looked up at me, her voice was raw, trembling. She asked what she could give me in return, money, promotion, anything. I told her I didn't want anything, but she stepped closer, her eyes searching mine with an intensity that made the world pause. Her breath was uneven, her words soft but filled with something confusing and vulnerable. "What reward do you want?" "A kiss, maybe?" But it wasn't flirtation. It wasn't a joke. It was a woman holding too much pain, offering something she didn't know how to express, something born from gratitude, fear, and months of loneliness swallowing her whole. Instead of answering, I simply told her Milo was safe. And something in her gaze softened, not romantically, but in the way a tightly locked heart cracks open slightly for the first time. The days after that changed everything. She began talking to me. Asking about my day. Checking if I had eaten. And slowly, piece by piece, she let me into the parts of her life she never told anyone, how Milo was a gift from someone she had lost, someone she loved deeply. How she had built her empire on top of her grief. How she had no one left to come home to except a small dog who carried the memory of happier years. I started helping her with Milo, walking him, feeding him, calming him during thunderstorms. She started waiting for me in the office, sometimes just to say good morning, sometimes to hand me coffee she pretended she just happened to buy extra. People talked. Rumors spread. But she didn't care. She wasn't the cold boss anymore. She was a woman learning how to feel again. Her walls didn't crumble overnight. She still hid behind sharp words and long silences, but little by little, she trusted me more. She shared her fears, her regrets, her dreams she thought she no longer deserved. I shared mine too, finding comfort in someone who wasn't just my boss anymore but someone who understood loneliness the way I did. One rainy evening, months later, Milo nudged her hand toward mine while we stood on her balcony. She looked at me the same way she did the night I returned her dog, eyes soft, searching, unsure whether she had the right to reach for something good. She didn't offer a kiss this time. She simply whispered that she was grateful I had found more than just her dog, I had found the parts of her she thought were gone forever. And slowly, naturally, gently, something grew between us. Something real. Something that didn't need grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Something built on trust, patience, and the quiet ways we learned to heal each other. Love didn't arrive like thunder. It arrived like dawn, soft, steady, and warm. And Milo, always at her side, became the bridge that carried both our hearts across the spaces we once thought were unreachable. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to The Kindness Chronicles. Your support means more than you know.